Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Gray. I wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit of kind of a recommendation on how you can do a Bradford assay for the purposes of your practical final exam. Now, whenever I'm doing this, I have a couple of things before me. One, I have the Bradford reagent. Now the Bradford reagent is light sensitive, so I want to keep this covered as much as possible. This large bottle, I've got it wrapped in aluminum foil. For your purposes, whenever you have a small volume or an aliquot of it, what you should probably do is get a piece of aluminum foil and simply cover that beaker that has the Bradford reagent with that aluminum foil. You don't have to wrap it tight or anything, just rest it over it so our lights above our heads aren't going to be breaking down that Bradford reagent. In addition to that, I have a cuvette. Now this cuvette is a visible light spectrum cuvette. Chances are you don't have to worry about accidentally using a UV cuvette, in part because if a cuvette is good for the UV range, then it's also good for the visible light range. But with that said, this is specifically designed for the visible light range. So I have my Bradford reagent, I have my cuvette, I've got my pipetteman, and actually in this pipetteman I have 900 microliters of my Bradford reagent ready to go. So I'm going to transfer all 900 microliters of my Bradford reagent to this cuvette. Now I'm going to rest my pipetteman so that it can be ready for use in my subsequent trials. I'm going to take this arrow here and line that up with the arrow on the Biorad Smart Spec Plus. I'm also going to get a Kim wipe and wipe off the exterior of this. Now, whenever I am programming my spectrophotometer, what I want to see is I want to press the button that says lambda. That's my wavelength button. And whenever I press that, it will prompt me for enter number of wavelengths to read. I'm reading 1. So it defaults to 1, so I'm just going to press enter. Then it asks for what wavelength am I measuring. Since I'm doing a Bradford reagent assay or a Bradford assay and I'm looking within the visible light range, I'm looking for about 595 nanometers. In this semester, we actually looked at a couple of different wavelengths, 3 of them to be exact. We looked at absorbance at 280 nanometers and 340 nanometers. Those 2 wavelengths are within the UV spectrum. So I'm looking at 595 because I'm going to see a color change. So this is within the visible light range. So I'm going to press enter after I've added 595. It then prompts me for, do you want to subtract background reading? I'm going to say no to that, okay? It's ready to read my absorbance. I have my Bradford reagent in my cuvette, and whenever I'm doing a Bradford assay, I want to blank with my Bradford reagent. So I'm going to press read blank. That gives me a reading of 0.00. I'm going to press the arrow to say continue. And my spectrophotometer is effectively blanked. Now I'm going to get my 100 microliter pipetteman, and I'm going to get my protein that is a known concentration. This protein has a concentration of 10 micrograms per microliter, which is the same as 10 milligrams per milliliter. I'm going to take 100 microliters from here, and I am going to transfer all 100 microliters into my cuvette. And I want to show you the color change and the way that I'm going to do this. Pipette tip in there, and I'm going to pipette this up and down several times so that I can be assured that, well, the solution is thoroughly mixed. What I'll also do is tap it a couple of times to make sure that it's mixed, but to be honest, I'm pretty confident with how it's been mixed based on using my pipetteman to mix up the solution. I'm going to press read sample. and I get an absorbance of 0.519. And if I want, I can wait another 30 seconds or so, but I try to be as consistent as possible for every single reading that I take. So I'll wait maybe 10 more seconds just for the sport of it all. Press read sample again. And that gives me 0.554. And the only reason that I'm doing that, and the reason that I would, or the value of that is, in the next sample that I evaluate, I want to do it the exact same way. Take the reading, wait 15 to 20 seconds, or 30 seconds, whatever set time point, and then take the reading again. Okay, so I have my first data point, that is 10 micrograms per microliter, with an absorbance of 0.519. I'm going to use that first data point that I collected because that's what I will use for every subsequent trial.